Okay, this is the final revision video now, so chapter 8, evolution. So when we think about evolution, probably think, or hopefully you'll be thinking about Darwin. So Darwin was a scientist who decided and put forward his views or his theory that all living things had evolved from simple life forms that developed more than 3 billion years ago. So we're talking about a huge time scale here, not millions of years, but billions of years, massive scale in time. And sometimes that's hard to get your head around when we're looking at diagrams. But we know that those theories were accepted really slowly, and Darwin was made a mockery of by the church because he challenged the theory that God made all living things, and that was what was believed by most people. And Darwin was challenging that, so not many people accepted what he said straight away. There was also insufficient evidence. He hadn't got a huge amount of evidence really. We didn't understand about inheritance, variation, genes, anything like that. It's about 50 years after his theory. So he was proposing this theory with very little evidence, and for that, those three reasons is why his theory was accepted really quite slowly. There were other theories about as well at the time. Lamarck was one of them that's featured in your specification, but there are others. He thought that a characteristic that was wanted or desired, the more it was used, the bigger and stronger it became. So the giraffe is one of the main examples that are given. So they wanted to reach the leaves on the high trees, they stretched their necks, and over time that grew bigger and stronger, and that long neck would then pass on to the offspring. So the offspring then had longer necks. We know that's not true now, given the evidence that we have. But Darwin then obviously proposed his theory after that as well. But it still took a while to prove it. So Darwin links into the theory of evolution then. And he believed, and we now know, that evolution occurs via natural selection. So this starts off quite a random process. So individuals within a species show variation due to the genes they have. That can be genes they've inherited. It could be a mutation that's given rise to a slightly different characteristic. But they all show variation or differences. And those most suited, okay, to the environment, so linking back to the adaptation topic, those most suitable or have the most suitable characteristics are more likely to survive because they can compete better for the resources. And therefore, if they're more likely to survive, they're more likely to reproduce. And we know that with reproduction passes on those genes to the next generation. So within that variation, the ones that have most suitable characteristics are more likely to survive, reproduce, and then pass on those genes to the offspring. And they're present in the next generation. Where there is, though, a new form of a gene because of a mutation, like I've said, you may see the change being more rapid. We're still talking lots, many years, but it is in relative terms slightly more rapid if it's a mutation than just a natural variation between within a species because of inheritance from two parents. Okay, so that's Darwin and Lamarck's theories, the reasons why his theories were accepted more slowly, and evolution. The last little bit that we often get questioned on is looking at different evolutionary models, really, evolutionary trees. There's many different ones, but by studying differences between different organisms, different species, it allows us to classify things to become different species. And here is an example of an evolutionary tree. So the common ancestor right back here, and then branching off and changing into different species over time. And you may be asked to interpret an evolutionary model. So this is where past paper questions, going through them, practicing them, will give you some skills there in terms of answering the exam questions. So that's it, all of B1 revised. This is B1 chapter 8 on evolution.